In Gaza, the ceasefire seems to be holding, but Hamas has recalled 7,000 fighters to reassert control over areas of Gaza recently vacated by Israeli troops. Local sources say that Hamas has appointed 5 new governors, all with military backgrounds. Meanwhile, President Trump is expected in the region as Israel awaits the release of all the hostages. Well, this is the scene in Gaza where returns are taking place of people who drive back or walk back to where their homes have been. Meanwhile, rescue workers say they've retrieved more than 100 bodies from the rubble, with thousands more expected to be found. Trucks have been seen in Khan Yunis in the last few hours. Under the ceasefire agreement, the aid supply will be ramped up, but key infrastructure is in tatters after 2 years of Israeli bombardment. This is the scene in Tel Aviv, where hostage families are waiting to hear about families' news of their loved ones. Hamas has until Monday to return to 48 Israeli hostages, whilst Israel must release 250 Palestinian prisoners. For its part, Israel's military says it's completed the first phase of its withdrawal from Gaza. President Trump is due in the Middle East in the next day or two. Some US troops are being deployed to Israel. Saeed Shahata from BBC Arabic explained what the 7,000 Hamas fighters were for and what that news tells us.
Before this war of October 2023, there is a Ministry of Interior, there is security forces of Hamas controlling, keeping order in Gaza. But after the Israeli war in Gaza, so they disappeared, and there is some looting happened when the aid, so there was complaint from the international organization where some trucks were looting, or some people are hungry, so they have no option but to grab whatever they can. So recalling them, I think, was expected a step by Hamas, because it will be now this order. Who is going to secure the delivery of aid? Who's going to control what's happening there? Because what he said, he sent these messages through phone calls and messages to these security forces, asking them to cleanse Gaza of what's called outlaws and collaborators with Israel, because there is some people were going against Hamas, and they were, have links with Israel. So they try to keep an order. So it's not is worrying for Israel, because Hamas is still there. So Hamas is weakened, but Hamas still has its security forces, it has its fighters. Only about, according to some reports, 10,000 of Hamas fighters were killed. So it's less than about more than 67,000 were killed in Gaza. So about only 15% of the people were killed from Hamas, but the majority are civilians. So recalling the security forces, about 7,000, it's a sign of Hamas is still there. It's trying to keep an order, because Israeli withdrew from several specific areas. So Hamas will deploy in this area. And the reports, they already deployed some units from security forces deployed there, some of them in civilian clothes, some other in the uniform of the Gaza police. So they are there in the areas where the Israeli is not there. So there are not going to be any clashes or whatever, but it's keeping an order, keeping the delivery of aid safe. And it shows that Hamas will not easily surrender its role in the governing Gaza in the future. And Hamas repeated several times, and recently, yesterday, Hamas and other Palestinian factions saying the Palestinian future should be decided by the Palestinians themselves. So recalling those forces, it's a sign of Hamas will not easily accept to be excluded from shaping the future of Gaza. In addition of that, they are against what's called the stabilization force, which will be overseeing the security in Gaza until a Palestinian or a state will be established there, or a government, because also will be transitional governing body governed by the Board of Peace, and is composed of a committee of Palestinian technocrats. So all of that put some pressure and concern about the future of this deal, or the future of Mr. Trump plan. Will it carry on after the first stage or not? Because the sticking point, and it shows again, recalling the security forces means Hamas is still there. Recalling the security forces means Hamas will not easily surrender that. So it will be difficult negotiation about excluding Hamas from governing Gaza or have a say in the future of Gaza.
Just very, very briefly, we are expecting Donald Trump in the region, aren't we, with this exchange? Does what we've heard in the last hour or so, impact how the ceasefire is rolling out?
You know, Mr. Trump was the main guarantor for this ceasefire and the main person behind the success of that. And Hamas and the other Palestinian factions calling for Mr. Trump to guarantee that the war is over and there is no resumption of hostilities after if there is anything problem happened. So Mr. Trump is the main one, and he's the one put pressure on Mr. Netanyahu, is put pressure on the other countries and using Turkey and Egypt in the equation and Qatar to reach this deal. So Mr. Trump being in the region, going to Israel and then going to Egypt to sign the deal, it is a matter of his commitment to do that. But the main question is, will he carry on for the second stage or not? Will he be committed to do that or not? Will he be successful with the other players to do that or not?
Saeed Shah there from BBC Arabic.